right? So we're discussing about the operating system architecture. The first layer comes the hardware, right? On the top of the hardware, you will be installing the operating system, and you know what are the kernel services. It has to do the memory management, process management, time management, file system management, and the input output system management. So you know that the kernel has to take care of even the memory, right? Whenever you install a program, okay, that program has to be executed immediately. The kernel has to allocate a memory for that, and then it has to take care of saving that file and deletion or modification, and whatever the input devices that are connected to the system, that has to be managed, and even the time management. So these are the kernel services. So once the operating system is installed, on the top of that you will be running the user applications. User applications are nothing but like you have a Microsoft Word package, right? You can install any software on the top of that. You can install a browser, or you can connect to the net. So there are n number of applications you can run on the operating system. So this is what is the operating system architecture, right? So we'll go to the next slide here. Then coming to the kernel, what is this kernel? Kernel is basically called the heart of the operating system, that is the core of the operating system. So basically he takes care of managing all the resources, right? So we can say that it is responsible for managing the system resources and the communication among the hardware and the other system services, right? So again, what are the main services it will be doing? The process management, primary memory management, file system management, input output system management, secondary storage management, protection, time management, interrupt handling, right? So these are the functions. So you know what is a process. Any program you run, that will be running under a one process, right? So immediately when any one program is executed on the top of that operating system, immediately the memory has to be allocated for that process, right? And all the process, whatever the sources are required, it should be done for that. And also the synchronization has to be done. If there are more than two programs are running in your software, right? So that management, the process has to take care, the kernel has to take care. And even the primary memory management is nothing but the whatever the program, if it is it is stored on the secondary storage, immediately it has to brought it to the random access memory, right? So again, it has to take care of the allocating the memory and allocating the data for that particular memory. Everything it is taken care by the kernel. Then what is the file system management? File system management is nothing but it has to do, the kernel has to take care of saving the file, updation of the file, or any modification. All these services are taken care by the kernel. Then input output is nothing but to the system. There are n number of devices will be connected. Keyboard will be connected. Immediately you insert a USB. So immediately it has to identify. When you insert a pen drive into a system, immediately at the top below corner, you will see that there is a one hardware device has been detected. So that all this, it has to take care of those devices, right? And also it has to take care of the secondary storage. Whatever the data you store on the system, it has to be put it onto the hard disk. And the main thing is about the protection. Protection is nothing but, so most of the kernel services, right, the user has not got any authority to change this, right? So there is the protection has to be taken care by the kernel. And even on the system, not only a single user, there are n number of users will be running, right? So each user data has not to be seen by others, right? So for the system, there are, it is not necessary that alone a single user can use your desktop. So n number of users can use a system. So there is a protection, the password authentication, everything. That data should not be accessed by other user. So that all services is taken care by the kernel. And time plays a very important role, right? Because each process will be assigned a particular timing. It has to be allotted with, it has to complete its task within that time. So time management also is a one service of the kernel. And also the coming to the interrupt handling. You know what is an interrupt, right? So in between any, suppose the input is get interrupted, right? Any pen drive if you insert, immediately it has to identify that there is a one device has been identified and it has to take care of that service. So all these are the kernel services, or we can call that these are the functions of the kernel. So basically kernel is called the core of the operating system. He will take care of the communication between the hardware and the user applications, right? So next we will see what is the kernel space and the user space, right? So basically what happens, the kernel will be taking care of the services like process management, memory management, right? Time management. So there are n number of services are there. So actually the user has got no authority to access these codings, right? So those programs codings has to be separated. So they are kept separate in one memory called kernel space, and the user applications programs are kept under separate memory called user space. So what is the kernel space and the user space? Whatever the kernel services, right? So it has to do the managing of the task or the process. There is a coding or the programming is written. So all those should be protected. The user cannot access this. So those programs are kept under the separate memory. That memory is called as a kernel space. And what is the user space? On the top of the operating system, right? User will be installing n number of applications. Example, I had given the Microsoft application where you have a PowerPoint presentation, Word, you can install the browser. All those applications has to be put in a separate memory. That memory is called as the user space, right? So on the operating system, there are two partitions of the memory. One is the kernel memory and other is the user memory, right? So again, dividing like this, it will have the protection for the kernel services. Okay. So next we will see what are the types of, what are the architecture the kernel can follow. So there will be one question on this. What are the different types of the kernel architecture that can be followed, right? So the designing of the kernel, what architecture the kernel can follow, that is classified into two. The first one is called monolithic kernel and second one is called micro kernel, right? So what is this monolithic kernel? So you just see here, all the kernel services, right? They are running under a single process or a single thread, and also a memory space is used for that. All the kernel services are running under a one single thread, and also the same memory space is used under the thread. That is called as a monolithic kernel. On the top of that, you are running the applications, right? So here you understand there is in one memory, all the kernel services are stored, and also one process is allocated for running the kernel services or the modules. On the top of that, the applications are running, right? So this is what is the monolithic kernel architecture. But what is the drawback here is, any one of the module, assume that any one of the module which is leading to the memory management, the coding has been written. If any one of the module gets crashed, then the whole operating system, what the kernel designing, the memory, what space you are given, that will get crashed. Again, you have to reinstall the operating system. So this is one drawback of this monolithic kernel. So examples of these monolithic kernels are Linux, Solaris, MS-DOS. So these are the examples of the monolithic kernel. So you understood what is a monolithic kernel? Only one single thread and the same memory space is given for the kernel, which will do all the essential operating system services. If any one of the module or the services which it is allotted gets crashed, the whole system gets crashed. So that is what is a disadvantage of this monolithic kernel architecture. Next comes the microkernel. Then you can see there are separate threads are used for running the operating system. Just see here. Here you can see there are two separate threads are there. This is called the user space. This is called the kernel space, right? Here what they have done, some of the microkernel essential services which are very important, like memory management, process management, yes, and the task management, okay, and then protection, interrupt handling, all those services are kept under a one process with a one allotted memory space. But there are some other services which are also required for the kernel that are shared in the separate user space, right? So there is a modularity in this design. Okay, so here you can see essential services are running under one process, right? And some of the services, they are also put into the user. In this user space, there are some of the applications are running, right? So here there is a modularity is there. So suppose anything happens in one of the some of the kernel services which are running in the user space, then no need to boot the whole system. Only the user space where the applications are installed, that has to be reinstalled or booted, right? So there is a modularity in this design. This is what is one advantage of this microkernel architecture. Okay, so the examples of this microkernel are QNX, Minix 3. These are the operating system names which are following this architecture, right? So understand that there are two types of the kernel architecture or the operating system architecture you can follow. One is the monolithic kernel and another is the microkernel. What is the monolithic kernel? All the services, right? And the whatever the services and other related services, the user programs are running on the top of this, but everything it is shared under the single process, right? But here any one of the module gets crashed, the whole system crashes. That is overcome in the next architecture designing called microkernel, where some of the services of the kernel are running in the user space and some of are running in the microkernel. So therefore this modularity plays gives a very important role, so that any one of the gets crashed, no need to reinstall the whole operating system. Okay, so next we will see what are the types of operating system, right? So already in the module 3 I have discussed there are two types of operating system. You have general purpose operating system and the real time operating system, right? So what is the general purpose operating system? The one or in all the labs which you are using, or one the desktop or the laptop, those are all general purpose operating system. That means on this top of the operating system you can install any application and you can run, right? So they are not doing any specific task, right? They are whatever the work you give, it will do on that operating system. But one point should be remember, they are not deterministic. I just told you in earlier also what is a deterministic, where the time, the suppose any application you are running on the operating system, so here the time doesn't play an important role. It need not be deterministic, means there is no deadline for this. If even if the suppose if you are running you are executing a program, okay, assume that Keel software you are using on your system, you are written a program. Suppose if it doesn't execute on a particular time, nothing is going to happen, right? So it is need not be deterministic. That is, here the time doesn't play an important role, even though there is a delay in the running of the application. Only there is a slow response from the system side, but nothing is going to happen. So that is one key point you have to remember. They are not deterministic in behavior. That is, they are not time critical point. Okay, so here the examples of these operating systems are Windows XP, MS-DOS, you have Windows 7, Windows 10. All these are general purpose system. On the top of this, you can run n number of applications. You can run n number of software, whatever you have designed, the programs you can run, but those are not time bounded. Even though there is a delay in the execution of the program, nothing is going to happen. Then what comes to the embedded system is the real-time operating system. So these are working with respect to the real time. So here they are deterministic. So this key point you have to remember. In the real time, the operating system deterministic in execution behavior. That means it has each embedded system, it has to execute in a particular allotted time, right? With the time plays a very important role here, right? So in that way, the operating systems are designed based on the task, whichever has got the highest priority, that should be assigned the first. But in the general task, it is not like that, right? So here the time plays a very important role. With respect to that, the system, the operating system has to execute each task. Based on that, this operating system is designed. Okay. For that, there are certain policies or rules are there for conducting time critical allocation of a system resources. So what are the examples of real-time operating system? You have a Windows CE, QNX, VxWorks, Micro C or OS2. These are the typical examples of the real-time operating system. Okay. So next we will see, coming to the real-time kernel. So in this module, what you basically are discussing is the concepts with related to the real-time operating system, right? So in embedded system, you are designing whatever the coding you are writing, right? So yesterday I was discussing about there are different computational models are used, right? Data flow graph model, right? And the finite state model, right? Based on that, you will be writing your program, right? And each program will be running under a one process, right? So here, the process in this real-time operating system, the process management plays a very important role. Why? Because each task has to be executed in a given allotted time. So in the embedded system, the time plays a very important role. So based on that, what are the functions of the real-time kernel, right? So the process management plays a very important role. The task is nothing but, suppose yesterday one example I have taken, the seat belt warning. When you enter into the car, if it doesn't put a seat, it will start putting alarm, or it will show that the person has or the driver has not wear a seat belt, right? So this is one task. You are writing a coding for that. Okay. So each module or the code what you have written, it has to be assigned to one process where that particular memory will be given for that task. So there the management, scheduling, synchronization plays a very important role in the real-time operating system, right? And also the error handling is the main thing in the real-time kernel function. Memory management also plays very important role. Interrupt handling and time management. Time management is a main thing in the real-time operating system. So in the real-time kernel, what are the functions of this? There are total seven are there. Okay, process management, process scheduling, process synchronization, exception handling, memory management, interrupt handling, time management. These are essential services for the real-time operating system which are used in the embedded system, right? So first we will see today only the first function, that is called the task or the process management. So what is the task, right? The task or the process is nothing but you are writing a program. Each program will be running under a one process. So what the real-time operating system has to do, it has to allocate a memory for that process and also other resources. Sometimes it has to read the data from sensors or the actuators, right? So allocate the system resources, and also whatever with respect to the process, that everything, the priority, some of the tasks they are having highest priority. So all those information will be stored in a task control block. So basically the task control block plays a very important role in the process management, which will be telling the whole information about the process. So what all information it will be maintaining, right? In an embedded system, right, there are n number of the program modules you have to run. Each module will be given one process. So each process in the task control block you have to give, it will be taken care by this task control block. It will allocate one identification number. Each processes are identified with a particular number. And also, what is the task state? That means whether there are n number of modules will be there, whether this module is ready or not, that has to be mentioned with the help of example state equal to ready, right? And also the type also plays a very important role. So in the embedded system, there are two types of the operating system I have just discussed: hard real time and soft real time. The type of the task is hard real time. Hard real time plays a time critical, which has to execute its task in a time. Soft real time, if it doesn't or execute a task in a particular time, nothing is going to happen. So here you have to mention in the task control bar what is the task type, whether it is a soft real, or the real time. So in an embedded system, some of the tasks has to happen in the real time. Example of opening of an air balloon in the car. There are n number of embedded system controllers are there. But among that, the anti-lock braking system and opening of an airbag, they are all operate under the hard real time. And some other like door opening, these are under the soft real time. So in the task type, you have to mention what is the type of the task, right? And also priority plays an important role. So there are in an embedded system, some will be running under hard or the soft. With respect to that, the priority, whether it should be given as a highest priority or not, that should be mentioned, right? And what is a context pointer? Pointer is nothing but it has to save the data. So the pointer should be allocated and there are some memory pointers should be given, right? So when you are running a one particular module of one embedded system design, it should be allocated a memory, separate memory, data memory and stack memory for that process. For each of those memory, a pointer should be allocated. That is taken care by the task control block, right? And then you have a task system resource pointers. What are these system resource pointers? Again, external, like you will be taking a data from external sensors or the actuators. Again, a separate system resource pointer should be allocated, right? And other parameters will be taken care by the task control block. So in the task process management, the task control block will tell about the information related to a process. First one is each process. There will be a number of tasks or the process will be given for each embedded system. It has to have the each process identification number, right? And what is its task? Each, there are n number of modules will be running in embedded system or n number of process will be running. Which process is running, that state should be given there, and whether the type is, whether it is a soft real time or the hard real time, whether it has got the highest priority, and which all the memory it is pointing, the separate data memory pointer, all that information will be stored in the task control block, right? So this is what real-time control. Okay, so tomorrow we'll see the second function of the real-time operating system, that is task process scheduling. So these are the main functions in the real-time operating system, right? Okay.